just as you should have hope for this country. And I hope by now you're looking at what I'm seeing on the screen, which indicates a problem in our nation. And I would say it's more than a problem. I say it's a crisis. It's a crisis in our country and our government that was not started last year. It wasn't started 4 years ago or even 20 years ago. But it's a crisis that we, the people, are fed up with in what's going on in our government, especially at the national level. Now, obviously, we balance our budgets in Georgia. Thank goodness we have a constitution that requires that. But the people in Washington, D.C. that are running our country don't understand what a balanced budget looks like. And I think it was 1992, in that time frame when President Bill Clinton was president, Newt Gingrich, a Republican Speaker of the House, worked together. That's a strange word in D.C. They worked together to balance our budget. But just look at the numbers rolling off the screen behind me. That is our future. That is the future of our children and our grandchildren. That's the future of our nation, but it's also the future of the world because the world leans on us. So what do we need to fix it? We need a strong leader in the White House, and I do believe we have a strong leader in the White House today. It's the 45th and the 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. He was elected last November in a large margin. Not only did he win the Electoral College vote, but he won the majority vote and the popular vote in our nation. He was the second candidate in American history to be elected to the White House in 2 non-consecutive terms. He has appointed and nominated a record number of women, minorities, young adults, and individuals from diverse backgrounds to key leadership positions in the White House and the federal court system. Approximately 45% of his cabinet appointees have been women so far. Over 200 federal judges, including 54 appellate judges and 3 Supreme Court justices, who will influence our judicial system for decades to come. He has sealed the southern border of this nation to keep out criminals and terrorists, keeping our communities safer. Let's just talk about the drug problem in our nation, where 21,000 pounds of fentanyl was confiscated at the border prior to him being reinstated as president in January. This is enough fentanyl to kill 4 billion people. 4 billion people. This explains why fentanyl was the leading cause of drug overdose deaths since 2021 under the Biden administration. Imagine how much of the deadly substance is flowing into the streets of Georgia today, in this state, in this city. Imagine what it's doing to our young people. But thanks to President Trump, illegal border crossings have fallen 71% since January of this year. The invasion and the poisoning of our country has to end. Under President Trump's first term, we had a thriving economy. The real median income rose by over $6,400. For the bottom 50% of households, average wealth in this country more than doubled. He delivered the largest tax cut in American history for working families. Already in his second term, he's done great things. He remains committed to economic prosperity. President Trump continues to promise to slash taxes, to extend the American worker tax cuts, and he's already slowing inflation just in the last 8 weeks. This February, the Consumer Price Index only rose half of what it did under Biden, 0.2% versus 0.5%. He led the U.S. into energy independence for the first time in over 60 years under his first term, with initiatives like the Keystone XL and the Dakota Access Pipeline project. In only 3 years, domestic oil production increased by an incredible 47%. And the price of gasoline, remember the price of gasoline when he left office, was a record $1.87 per gallon. It is highly fitting that this resolution be presented to you guys today. And I hope that this body will join me and commend these pro-American policies. And we commend President Donald Trump, who has gained the confidence of millions and millions of American voters and workers. Mr. President, I'm going to stop. We could talk about this man for the next 4 hours, and I'm sure there'll be others that'll come up and try to dispute some of the things that I've said. But gentlemen and ladies, we need an America First policy that will move this country back in the right direction. We need policies in Washington that will slow down the rapid growth of debt that you saw on the board behind me this morning. You heard from Congressman McCormick this morning. If you were listening to what he said that the interest only on the national debt in this country is more per year than we spend defending our borders and our country and the U.S. military. Let that sink in. The interest expense for our debt is more than we spend on the military in the United States. That is not sustainable. It cannot continue. Hard decisions are going to have to be made by Democrats and Republicans. Bipartisanship is the only way to fix this solution, and I believe the leader of that White House that's in office today, Donald Trump, is the person that can get it done. And the American people spoke loudly November 5th. We need to support his policies. We need to move forward to make America great again. Mr. President, I'm happy to take questions, or I'll yield the will.
You do have a couple questions, Senator. Recognize Senator from the 26th from Macon, Georgia.